Welcome to the OTA podcast where we discuss everything performance training. I'm Coach Chris Barnard. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the OTA podcast. I'm your host, Coach Chris Barnard with Overtime Athletes. And for this video, what I wanted to discuss is purely for gym owners or any coach who owns or has a coaching business. A common question that I currently get is like, what are the key tracking metrics? In fact, a lot of the coaches that we work with inside our coaching program tend to either not track at a very low level, or not know exactly what numbers they should be focused on. So I think it's important to go over the 5 key metrics every coaching business should have. And this kind of pertains to both gym owners, people who are in person, and also online. So let's get right into it. Number 1, first and foremost, which is going to be, some of these are going to be common sense, but I'll go a little bit deeper into them. So number 1 is going to be leads, right? What we define a lead is anybody who's shown interest in your product or service, right? That in exchange, or for like a lead magnet or some sort, or just generally interested in your services, is giving you some kind of contact information. So this can be on social media, right? And we count that as a lead, whether it be their IG, right? And that's their IG handle, or their Facebook, that's their Facebook page. Or if you've done some kind of marketing where you get their name, email, phone number. So like, even if we do offline marketing efforts, right? If we're doing something, we're constantly trying to capture a lead, which is meaning we have their name, email, and phone number so that we can consistently follow up with them to invite them in to essentially check out our services, right? So that's number 1, very simple. Everybody knows that. Number 2, which is kind of an in-between one, which a lot of coaches don't track, but they're unaware that is one of the more important ones, because it's kind of extremely easy to get leads in the grand scheme of things if you have the right strategies and tactics. The hard thing is to get those leads to turn into the second one, which is prospects. So we define a prospect as somebody who is a lead who has then come in and actually come to your actual gym, or come to where you deliver your service, whether it be at a park, or if it's somebody from the online side, somebody who's actually got on a phone call to explore your actual services, right? So the job from converting a lead to a prospect, it's more tough than it is to actually get a lead. So it's important to know that, because you've got to have systems down the line to be able to turn them from a lead to a prospect. What's up, coaches? Real quickly, let me go ahead and introduce you to Performance Coach U certification. Now, this is the certification / course that I put together for coaches who want to train athletes and not only get results, but also maximize profits in the private sector. The problem that I saw with a lot of these courses and certifications out there for coaches was that they provided a lot of information and not a lot of application. So I wanted to pull back the covers over 10 plus years of experience and show you the ins and outs of actually being in the trenches so that you get maximum results while also scaling your business. So if you're interested in this, go ahead and check out the link down below and you can get more information. The next one is going to be new clients, right? These kind of go hand in hand, but we track these on a weekly level and we see how many new clients. And the next one is going to be total clients. So we want to see, out of everybody who comes in as a prospect, right, how many have we actually closed into working with us for our services? And it's important that you track both your new clients and your total client list, okay? The other number that I'm going to say now that I've gone through those 3 is it's important for us to track the conversion of each. So there's standards on each of these, meaning there's a percentage of from lead to prospect and then from prospect to client, right? The conversion, or the percentage of athletes who come in, or Gen Pop people who come in and that convert from a lead to a prospect, is much lower, right, for our systems at least, than it is from a prospect to conversion. We know that like 8 out of 10, once they show up at the door and they go through our process, we know we're going to acquire or sign up 8 out of 10. Whereas, the standard for lead to prospect is much lower, but it's important to have a standard and know your conversion so that you know that you're doing a model or a system that you can consistently duplicate the results. You want to become as predictable as you possibly can with your systems so that you know that if I put out this effort, I get this outcome, and I can predict based off the amount of numbers, and if me executing that system over and over again, no matter who's doing it, right, I can then see what I can spend, right, to get a return of investment. So it's extremely important to have all those numbers. The next one is going to be after that, after your total clients, is going to be your revenue number. And this is extremely important for you to know. A lot of coaches, especially when they're starting off, even if they're not doing as well, right, or if they have that yo-yo-like effect in season, off season, they tend to not track their revenue. You have to track this on a weekly basis, and you have to track this over a total of a monthly basis. And you should be doing some kind of simple level of P&L at the end of every month. Even when I was first starting off and I didn't know what I was doing and it just seemed so basic, just putting it on paper. I remember the first P&L I wrote was on paper, and all I did was write out all the income. And at the time I was getting checks and cash, right, when I first started off. And any parent who handed me a check or cash or whatever it was, I would just basically write all that down on one line. Everything I spent on the business or anything that I had to do to kind of do that, whether it be rent, whether it be pitching utilities, whether I had to buy trash bags or paper towels, I wrote that down on the expenses for that month from the 1st to the 31st or whatever it was. And then I basically was able to see what my net revenue was when I took my gross minus my expenses and then saw that. But that act allowed me to consistently track that. Now, the last thing I'll add to those, as you say, you have those 5 plus those conversions. Everything else on top of that, you could get away with making a good, successful, and scale your gym on top of that. Now, if you want to get more granular, you could track things like lifetime value and start getting, more involved with the actual retention and how do we keep them on longer. Those are big numbers. So your LTV of your actual clients. You can get a little bit more granular as far as from a lead side. If you're running any kind of paid advertisement, right? So now you're going to be able to track your clicks and stuff like that. And obviously it scales out to more deeper level stuff as you can continue to go on. But like it doesn't matter where you're at, you should be tracking these 5 metrics, whether you have 1 client or whether you have 500 in your gym, right? And that's just so important for you to make sure that you have a consistent routine like clockwork every single week, every single month, and then be able to set your goals every single quarter. And then you reverse engineer that. If we want to add 100 new clients this quarter into our gym, divide that by 3 because there's 3 months in the quarter, and then say, well, then I can reverse engineer it out. Well, how many prospects do I need to be able to sign up 33 athletes? Then from there, how many leads does that prospect take? So I know then I can start at square one and say, this is how many leads we need to be able to get to our ultimate goal. And that's how metrics always are able to intertwine with what you're doing. Because like I always say, you can't manage what you can't measure, and you're not going to know. You're just constantly going to be shooting in the dark. So it's so important to make sure that you're getting on those metrics. If you need help with any of those, or if we can help you out, or if you feel like you have a bottleneck with any of that, you can book one of the phone calls with us. We have a program going on. If I can help you out in any way as far as the business side of things as coaching, I love absolutely doing that. We've been opening up to coaches across the world, and it's been having some great success. So if you need, check out the link down below, and we can offer you some more insight and help as far as where your constraints are. Talk to you guys next time.